Match week 7 takes us across the border to the Hollywood of the North, Toronto, Canada. It's a match week 2 rematch between Toronto FC 2 and Chicago Fire 2, losers of back-to-back contests. Welcome inside York Lions Stadium along with our Season Pass crew. I'm Jake Griffith, a pleasure to have you alongside us. Toronto FC 2, they've struggled to score goals this season, tied with Town FC for the fewest scored in MLS NEXT Pro. Head coach Gianni Cimini has said he wants to see more attacking bite from his team. Just 2 goals scored in their last 360 minutes. For Chicago Fire, goal scoring, that's been the least of their issues. 8 goals allowed in their last 2 matches. A real opportunity for Toronto FC to get their offense going this evening. The starting 11 now for Toronto FC and head coach Gianni Cimini going with a 3-4-3 formation. 3 changes in this 11, 2 of which in the midfield as Cimini and company looking for a bit more possession and tempo in that midfield, going with a box midfield. First teamer Marcus Zimmer-Mancic, 71 there on the left portion of that graphic, loaned down from the first team at 4 p.m. Eastern time today. He'll get the start in the midfield, trying to bolster this Toronto FC team. For Chicago Fire 2 and head coach Mike Matkovich, they go with a 4-3-3 formation. 3 changes in this 11 as well, 2 of which up front because of the red card for Peter Soudan against Huntsville City. He's out of this contest. Dylan Borso, 27. He drops down to the right back spot. Claudio Cassano will move up, 51 there on the front side of the attack at the left wing. Cassano, one of the best chance creators in MLS NEXT Pro this season. 6th most chances created in MLS NEXT Pro, averaging 2 shots on target per 90 minutes for Chicago Fire. Toronto FC 2 seeking points in consecutive home fixtures for the first time since July 28th through August 18th of last season, coming off the 1-1 draw here at York Lions Stadium against Carolina Core FC in their most recent match. Gianni Cimini said, "We're so glad to be home." They started 4 consecutive away from home before returning to take on Carolina Core FC. And he said the biggest reason that they're thrilled to be home is, one, it takes a toll on you. When you're away from home for that long to start a campaign, yes, it does take a toll, but it allows this team to get some rhythm now that they're playing consecutive home fixtures. Rhythm has been a big theme for what Toronto FC wants to find at the start of this season, as Gianni Cimini said, we're a resilient group, but we're still learning each other. The whistle sounds from Melvin Christopher, our center referee, and we are underway in Toronto, Canada, York Lions Stadium, our site, for this match week 7 clash. Along with our Season Pass crew, Jake Griffith, happy to have you with us for this standalone MLS NEXT Pro fixture on this Friday night. Plenty of action coming your way on the weekend, but just the lone matchup between Toronto FC, who are in the red, Chicago Fire in the white and blue striped kits with the blue shorts. Polyuk will steer this one back to Diego Konix. He'll play that to Patrick Lowe's, getting the start in goal, his 6th consecutive start. 5 goals allowed, but 5 saves. And that 5-0 defeat at the hands of Huntsville City. Chicago Fire 2, their head coaching staff coming into this week, they said that the first 15 minutes, the flurry to expect from Toronto FC, this young Chicago Fire team, one of the youngest in MLS NEXT Pro, they have to find a way to weather that. Early on, we're seeing high pressure dialed up by Gianni Cimini's bunch, and it's consecutive throws in for the Young Reds. Italo trying to go forward with it in the vicinity of Michael Sullivan. Sullivan there in red, trying to win it back in the midfield. is steered all the way back down to the feet of Diego Konix, former St. Louis University Billiken, spent 3 seasons at Campbell in the Big South collegiately. Konix, he'd have to play just about every minute of the final 22 fixtures, but closing in on Sergio Orahel's all-time club record for minutes played in a career, as that's booted away from pressure by Adisa de Rosario, starting in net for the 5th time this season for Gianni Cimini and Toronto FC. Quickly lifted up ahead. Here comes Chicago Fire on the attack. Cassano. There's a Toronto player down. Cassano at the byline goes spilling across it. Mark Fisher, the Toronto FC player, down, slow to get up, as Melvin Christopher will motion the Toronto FC training staff out onto the pitch. Fisher still down, rubbing that right leg. Here's a look. Was trying to chase that long ball down, and immediately right there in the center of your screen you see 72 in red. Right after he guided it back to De Rosario, immediately pulled up. Training staff working on that right leg of Mark Fisher, the 24-year-old from Alberta, Calgary native, in his 2nd season with this Toronto FC2 side. Spent 4 years at Stanford, the 2020 Pac-12 Freshman of the Year, and he's been one of the more accurate passers on this Toronto FC team this season, completing 94% of his passes. Now making his 2nd start, 4th appearance of 2025. Training staff continuing to work on that right leg of Mark Fisher. You saw the Toronto FC trainer turn toward the TFC2 bench, spin his hands around as if to make the sign signifying a need for a change. Toronto FC 2 will be forced to make that change. Anthony Bossenberry set to come on. Fisher is back to his feet, walks off with the help of the Toronto FC 2 training staff across the boundary line, and Bossenberry will come on, the 16-year-old Toronto FC Academy player. An early change for Gianni Cimini's bunch due to the injury to Fisher. Now Reed Fisher at it, one of the 2 super draft picks for Toronto FC, sent down to this Toronto FC 2 side. Fisher skies it forward. 23rd overall pick in this most recent MLS Super Draft out of San Diego State. Here is Chicago Fire on it now. Konix long with it ahead, and De Rosario will wave everyone off. Italo, his move made permanent this offseason after joining Toronto FC2 last season on a loan from Sao Paulo in his native country of Brazil. Italo with it now. Lifted ahead near touchline. Good touch at that from Ayari. Hassan Ayari, 4 big chances created this season for the former Sheffield United Academy man. That will go across the end line. Los will have another goal kick. Steered back, dangerous pass forward. Real pressure applied by Toronto FC. And it is causing some issues at the back for the Chicago Fire team. Worked up to Borso, near touchline. Straddling that stripe. Now, change of possession will occur via the throw-in. As Richard Chukwu, a Toronto FC Academy player, he will throw it in. Knotted down by Fire 2. Konix hounded by a variety of red shirts. Now here comes Chicago Fire 2. Near turnover in the midfield, corralled back in. Fire 2, losers of back-to-back contests. The 5-0 defeat at the hands of Huntsville City. Lost 3-2 against Red Bull New York as that rolled forward. And Italo will guide this back to De Rosario, looking to avoid 3 consecutive losses as Chicago Fire 2 for the first time since July 28th through August 10th of last year. Coincidentally, that's the same period of time they lost, or the last time I should say they lost 3 consecutive away fixtures as well. One back by Fire 2. Here's Dean Bolts, the former Wisconsin Badger, on it. Rolled all the way down that far touchline. Los tries to distribute out wide. Errant clearance out, and a change of possession will occur via the throw-in. Marko Stojadinovic tosses it in quickly for Toronto FC. Stojadinovic will win it back. Poor pass from Stojadinovic, and here is Chicago Fire 2, counter-attacking now. Too much weight behind that ball forward. And it's into the gloves of De Rosario. Although not the end result Fire 2 looking for. That is more of what Mike Matkovich and this Chicago Fire 2 staff looking for in terms of a tactical philosophy and attacking identity. They want to be quick but decisive on the attack. Another errant pass out. Throw in toward that final third for Toronto 2. Chukwu tries to lift this out wide, leaves it a bit short. No choice for Fire 2 but to steer this back to Patrick Lowe's again. Lowe's in his 3rd season with the club, 8th most saves in the league last year for the future Michigan Wolverine. Work down the near touchline again. Bossenberry tries to touch it inside. Read well by Fire 2 defensively. Holyut knifing through defenders. The amount of numbers, though, Toronto FC committing going forward right now on the defensive side. 6 red shirts for Toronto FC, and at times it has caused Chicago Fire 2 some issues in terms of just getting out of their own end of things. There's a whistle from Melvin Christopher and a free kick given to Chicago Fire 2. Cassano gets it back. Tried to lay it off to Trip Fleming. lifted ahead. Ayari was running in behind. Too much behind that ball again. Out for another Patrick Lowe's goal kick. You can hear that wind gusting here at York Lions Stadium. There is a whistle. Trip Fleming slow to get up and now helped back to his feet. Wind gusts in excess of 19 miles an hour here at York Lions Stadium. We've seen Toronto FC try to utilize those long passes, those long balls over the top. That Route 1 style of football. A bit hard when winds are gusting almost 20 miles an hour. Fire 2 on it now. Racing ahead with it is Nagel. Pisano tries to start and stop. Looking for the clearance now. Hacked away by Michael Sullivan. Former Pitt Panther. And that's guided all the way back down to Patrick Lowe's again. Fleming works it out wide. Casano again. Off-season acquisition is Claudio Casano. That guided out. Fire 2 will have a throw in as Dylan Borso, the homegrown signing in December of 2024, 25th homegrown in club history, throws it in. Get it back to Borso. One back by Chuck Wu. Now Borso commits the foul. There will be a free kick given. Ninth all-time meeting between Fire 2 and Toronto FC 2. Fire 2 have been good here at York Lions Stadium. 2 of the last 3 wins they have in this series have come at Toronto FC 2. That's out, seeking Hassan Ayari again. Chicago leading the all-time series 6-2-0, including that 1-0 win for Fire 2 back on match week number 2. This portion of the match is brought to you by BMO, proud sponsor and fan of Toronto FC 2. Short clearance away from danger by Fire 2. Trip Fleming able to win it back. Fleming earlier in the week had a chance to catch up with Trip Fleming, and the one thing he said about this Chicago Fire organization, especially with the changes that were made in the offseason, Greg Berhalter coming over as director of soccer and first-team head coach, Mike Matkovich now in his first season as Chicago Fire 2 head coach. And Trip Fleming said that there's been a real commitment to the development pipeline, and they feel a real synergy across all portions of this Chicago Fire organization, from academy, Chicago Fire 2, up to the first team. He said that that was a big reason why he chose to come back. Trip Fleming missed the 2024 season, spending it at Wisconsin. A short header away. Fire 2 starting to ask some questions now. Whipped in, diving header away. Again, hacked away for another clearance by Fire 2. John Diouf able to keep the pressure on. Looking inside, Casano. Really planting their flag right now is Fire 2. Rolled in behind, Casano. Edge of the area. Back ahead, Dean Bolts. Bolts at the byline, his cross headed away. Ball's right to Nagel. Really crisp passing right now for Chicago Fire 2 on the season, completing 84% of them. Now they cycle it around. Here's Konix. Lifted ahead, looking again for Dean Bolts. Bolts muscled away from the ball, but it's nudged out, and Chicago Fire 2 will have their first corner of this contest. First 15 minutes in the books, and Chicago Fire 2 doing exactly what Mike Matkovich and his coaching staff asking them to do. Weather the storm from Toronto FC, that first 15-minute flurry. These last 5 minutes, done a good job of keeping the pressure on. Now they short to corner, rolled back to Casano. Second ball whipped in, back stick, headed wide. Going short on the corner as Casano, a good ball in, finding the head of Diego Konix, who just nods it wide. We stay scoreless, 0-0. Long ball lifted ahead, racing in behind. It's Toronto FC on the doorstep. Ball is loose, bobbling around. And finally, Patrick Los makes the grab on Malik Henry. Now Borso trying to switch play here. Even back to Kaye. Very quickly, Toronto FC 2 nearly finding the opening goal of this contest, and that's an area that Gianni Cimini has wanted to see his team improve on. He said striking a balance between heavy metal football, that directness, and a heavy possession style. That time going route one with it and very nearly having success. Work back on to Borso now near touchline. Give and go. Back to Borso. Italo goes to ground and wins it back for Fire 2. No foul given. Italo lobs another one forward. That time Hassan Ayari just not in a position to chase that down. Sam Williams now looking for options going ahead, finds Hulyut. Hulyut muscles his way inside. Still Hulyut now. Toronto just trying to clear the lines at the moment, kept on by Dylan Borso. One shot right now for Chicago Fire. It has come inside that penalty area. This up ahead from distance goes sailing high. Trip Fleming trying to step into one from outside. Had a good look at goal, was able to get some space right in that pocket in front of the 18-yard box. Dangerous, back toward Italo. Pressure collapsing in from Chicago Fire. Now they, with the flurry and the burst of energy here into minute 22. Ayari just desperately trying to clear it. It will be a Toronto FC2 throw in. Seeing more aggressiveness as this first half carries on from Chicago Fire 2. Mike Matkovich and his coaching staff this week identified that as something that is a key to victory for them, specifically against Toronto FC. They want to control the tempo by being aggressive with it. One back now by Fire 2. Diouf's clearance out. It will be a Fire throw in. Chicago Fire coaching staff did say that as much as they want to live on that front foot, they want to be aggressive. This young team is still learning how to manage the ebbs and the flows of games. Really felt like that a big contributing factor as this takes a deflection back in toward the 18. What a recovery defensively by Konix to come over. They felt like one of the biggest things that did them in, really changed the complexion, was that red card. Did not recover well after the red against Huntsville City. And they said that set the stage for what was a disappointing 5-0 defeat. Cassano now, far touchline. This portion of the match is brought to you by LG, proud sponsor and fan of Toronto FC2. Up ahead, looking for Hulyut. Cleared out, it will be a Toronto FC2 throw. Toronto right now completing 76% of its passes. The passing game is something Gianni Cimini earlier in the week identified, both long passing and short passing, an area he wants to see improvement in. Long pass forward, not on target, headed away. At the edge of the area, this shot toward goal. An easy save made by Los. Worked ahead, it's Dean Bolts now. Ball's back to Hulyut, poked ahead. Bolts trying to race it down. Bolts still on it, centers one. Short clearance away by Toronto 2. Back on, there's a collision behind the play as Chukwu goes down. And a foul given. Since that 20th minute, Chicago Fire 2 have had the lion's share of the possession. 130 touches for Chicago Fire 2 since the clock turned over across that 15th minute. Really giving more credence to what this Chicago Fire 2 coaching staff emphasized in the midweek of the first 15 minutes, so important. The first half overall has really been a sticking point for the Chicago Fire 2 team. Of their 13 goals allowed, just 4 of them have come in the second half. Chukwu able to straddle the stripe for a moment. Back ahead to Hulyut now. Flung out wide, Cassano. whipped in, headed away. Edge of the 18 again, worked out wide. It's Borso, one-on-one. Borso cuts to his left, squares this. Oh, huge shot blocked. Sam Williams, his cross also blocked. Konix tried to play it back inside, not on the same page there as Dylan Borso, and it goes out for a goal clearance. Again though, Chicago Fire 2, promising buildups coming back down the pitch. Just the 2 shots to show for it, but really putting pressure on this Toronto FC 2 defense at the moment. Here's Michael Sullivan now, looking to turn this upfield, and does. Stojanovic, out wide, it's Henry. Whipped in toward goal, falling through, but the whistle sounds offside. Toronto FC 2, they've made their living in the 18 this year. All 3 of their goals scored have come inside the 18-yard box. Very nearly had a 4th, but in an offside position for the Young Reds, and that washes the opportunity out. One back by Ayari. Chukwu looking for options, lifts it ahead. And Marcus Simmermansik just not in a position to run that down. Simmermansik, another one of the homegrown signings for this Toronto FC side. Signed that homegrown deal in February of this year. First MLS NEXT Pro appearance of 2025 for Simmermansik. Challenge won by Toronto FC 2. Lawson Berry helped on, Malik Henry. Now Henry again. Henry whips this in. A short clearance away. One back by Sullivan to keep the pressure on. We have crossed over the half-hour mark now. Ayari with it. Peels this back, looking for Henry. Back post, whiffing on it. Daquan Barrow had it right at the penalty spot, or at least a look at it, and couldn't strike it off the volley. This portion of the match is brought to you by Chevrolet, proud sponsor and fan of Toronto FC 2. The last time these sides met, Toronto FC really made their money inside that opposition 18. 23-6 advantage in touches inside the 18. 9 of their shots came inside the box. Really making a point of emphasis so far in this first half to generate those touches inside the area. It's an area that overall Gianni Cimini wants to see his team improve upon. Of the 29 MLS NEXT Pro teams, they rank 26th on the season in touches inside the 18. Is that out of the reach of Barrow? Trying to give it back up to Dean Bolts. Telegraph pass, read well by Asana Yari, but it's out for a Chicago Fire throw-in. Sullivan goes to ground, intercepts, wins it back. Berry's ball left short. Now headed back on by Fire 2. Some congestion in that midfield. Toronto FC2 on it now. Ayari parried away by Los. The second shot on target of the evening for Toronto FC2. Asana Yari, one of the Young Reds' best chance creators this season. 4 big chances created, creates another, erased by Patrick Los. Italo back over the top. Henry runs it down, lifted in, laid back off. Ayari curls it back post, misses wide. Back-to-back trips down the pitch. Asana Yari, opportunities to break the scoreless deadlock. Right there, 81 in red in the center of your screen. Bends that toward that back stick. Just bends it a little wide. Another whistle from Melvin Christopher, a Chicago Fire 2-player down. Now some pushing and shoving as Italo, not thrilled with the whistle, was having a word with Melvin Christopher. You see the captain, Michael Sullivan, there, now stepping in and having a word. That only the captain rule, part of MLS NEXT Pro this season, where in the key moments, and MLS, in key moments, only the captains are permitted to speak to the officials. Play restarts. Card stays in the pocket of Melvin Christopher. Konix feeds it ahead. It's Dylan Borso. Chicago Fire 2, one of their goals as a team, so says Mike Matkovich, is to create overloads, numbers advantage, use those passing triangles to open things up from the opposition. Throughout this first half, we've seen them try to funnel it ahead to Dylan Borso, tight on this near touchline, and create those triangles, those overloads. Toronto FC2 starting to read it now. This rolled in behind, flicked in toward the middle, and slotted home. Daquan Barrow breaks the scoreless deadlock. 1-0 Toronto FC2. Just a brilliant build-up here, rolled in behind to Malik Henry, who squares it all alone in behind. Daquan Barrow, his first goal for Toronto FC2 since the 2023 season. No better time to find it as Toronto FC2, an infusion of life on the offensive side. 1-0 at the restart. Doof going ahead with it now. Sano able to corral this one in. Now worked out wide. cross, read all the way by Adisa de Rosario. Chicago Fire 2 defensively had good coverage back down the pitch on the goal they just allowed, but just fell asleep at the last moment and allowed Daquan Barrow to get in behind unmarked. Mike Matkovich had said that over these last couple matches they wanted to clean up the little mistakes. This Chicago Fire 2 coaching staff said that they felt like they have given up a couple soft goals in these last 2 matches and change. Looking out wide again to Malik Henry. Left that pass short. Juan Miguel Calle will win it back. Forward they go to Holute. Lifted ahead, out wide, wanted Hassan Ayari. They were doubling Ayari up. Switching ball out wide. It falls to Casano. From distance. De Rosario makes the save. Going one-on-one there with Malik Henry, cutting to his right just on the edge of the area. But De Rosario snug on that far post, able to see it all the way. Adisa de Rosario in goal tonight for Toronto FC2. Has it now. The man there in the center of your screen in green. Been a permanent fixture with this Toronto organization. Made appearances for Toronto FC3 back in 2021 in League One Ontario. Calm under the pressure, collapsing in on him. Gives it up to Simmermansik. Chukwu rolls it ahead, looking for Ayari. Well timed. As Dylan Borso goes to ground to win it back. Rolled up ahead, Holute takes the initial touch, but can't corral it in. Out for a Toronto throw. Throw looking for Simmermansik. He's taken down. That will draw a whistle. Just the 3rd foul committed by Chicago Fire 2. We've only seen 6 whistles so far in this first half. Been a clean, free-flowing contest. Daquan Barrow, his goal just minutes ago, the difference maker so far, as Chicago Fire 2 have now gone down a goal in 4 consecutive matches. There's Ayari now, wanting options on this near side. Has none, and we'll go back to Chukwu. Worked ahead. Top side of the attack. This lifted in toward goal, headed on and wide by Simmermansik. Toronto FC able to whip another cross into the box, and again getting in behind, as that time it's Marcus Simmermansik shaking free of Dylan Borso. Very nearly could have been 2-0, but Simmermansik couldn't put it on target. Toronto FC 2, they have the throw, quickly taken. It's into Michael Sullivan. Gianni Cimini had said this week that Michael Sullivan, such an important player for what Toronto FC hopes to accomplish this season. He has the desire, the intensity to go forward. Called him one of their more forward risk-taking players. They want to find ways to get him higher up the pitch. He's really set the table so far in the midfield for them in this contest. As Henry has it now, edge of the area. Henry, cross, cut out. Now Kaye, a short clearance. It's headed back on. Bossenberry with it. He'll get it back from Henry. Bossenberry cuts it back, feeds it through, cleared out, and Toronto FC have won a corner late in this first half. Hassan Ayari will set it at that far flag. Toronto FC have not scored off a corner so far this year. There's 22 corners on the season as Melvin Christopher sees a bit of pushing and shoving inside the 18 and will step over to remedy that. Ayari swings it in to the thick of it. Falls through the other side. Now Reed Fisher will win a throw in. Rolled all the way ahead. Dean Bolts will catch up to it now. Lays this one off to Fleming. Dean Bolts tripped Fleming to former teammates at the University of Wisconsin. Now they'll funnel it back out wide. This time it's Borso. Borso, corner of the 18, lifted back ahead. Borso's cross, back post, and nudged out for a goal kick. Three minutes of added time at the end of this first 45 minutes between Toronto FC 2 and Chicago Fire 2. It took 36 minutes before one side found the back of the net. Daquan Barrow in the 36th minute off the assist from Malik Henry, and that has been the difference maker so far. Borso taken down in the midfield on a whistle sounds from Melvin Christopher. Casano. They'll cycle this one around. It's Borso. Borso's cross, blocked. Falls right back to him, but won back by Chuck Wu. Space to move now for Simmermansik. Bossenberry tries to roll this in behind. And quickly, Patrick Lose dives on it and throws it right back out. Action end to end here in the latter stages of this first 45 minutes. Across the touchline it goes. Toronto FC 2 will have a throw. Angling in toward that final third. long throw from Henry, looking for Barrow. Daquan Barrow commits the foul. Chicago Fire 2, just 4 shots so far in this first half. Held to 1 shot on target. Last time these teams met back in match week 2, held to a season low 6 shots for the full 90. Boston Berry will hack that away, or at least attempt to, for a clearance, and that will give a throw in to Chicago Fire 2. Melvin Christopher sounds the whistle. Halftime has been reached in Toronto, Canada. The home side on top through 45 minutes of play. Our score at the half, Toronto FC 1-0 over Chicago Fire. Let's look back at the MLS Next Pro Goal of the Week. New York Red Bulls 2 midfielder Ibrahim Kasule is last week's winner. Following a corner kick, the Ugandan international controlled the ball with his chest before unleashing that rocket past the Chicago Fire goalkeeper, extending his side's lead to 3-1 en route to a 3-2 victory. Red Bulls 2 sat atop the Northeast Division standings with 10 points following that result. Patrick Loss didn't know about it there, and Ibrahim Kasule gets the goal of the week. We've got highlights from earlier this week, a player profile, and more. It's halftime in Toronto, Canada.
If I got it, then I bought it. Take a bite, 'cause I want it. And I know I got the taste for the cake, and I take what I make and I flaunt it, flaunt it. Got diamonds on my necklace, I live how I like. So looks is getting reckless. I'm feeling myself and you can't break my vibe. I'm feeling myself and you can't break my vibe. You can't break my vibe. You can't break my vibe.
Action.
Should be a fun season of MLS Next Pro. Oh my! Pedrinho wins it!
Welcome back to York Lions Stadium in Toronto, Ontario, 1-0 at the halftime break. It's time for a player feature. Let's get to know Chattanooga forward Jesus Ibarra.
Ibarra from Garcia. Still Ibarra! Oh my goodness me! It's a tremendous finish! Jesus Ibarra with a Travella of epic proportions!
Fans called it the best goal of the 2024 season. In a poll on MLS Next Pro's X account, Jesus Ibarra called it the best goal he scored as a professional. So, what was going through his mind at that time?
I remember warming up like the whole halftime and them saying like, you're coming off in the 45th minute. So I come on, I'm ready, I'm excited. I've been injured for a bit of time now. One of the first balls that I got, it was it was from Lucho, and I get it on the wing, and it's a quick counter, and I'm driving at the defender, and I just shimmy to both sides, and I see that inside is the right side, and I didn't want to shoot it with my left, so I shot it with my outside of my foot, and I mean, it went right in the corner, but definitely blanked out. I heard everyone screaming, everyone running after me, so it was a great feeling.
Ibarra had a brace that day, kicking off a season that would see him finish with 7 goals, tied for second on Chattanooga FC.
We were all just on the same page. That left side, I was with Milo playing most of the season, and I really think we got a good understanding of each other, built some chemistry over the season, and yeah, just getting the ball a lot to my feet and just able to create chances for other people or for myself. And I feel like the dynamic was worked a lot last year.
I mean, his unpredictable, exciting attacking is huge. That's what we want. His ability, we saw that last season when we missed him through injury. The team's attacking form dipped a little bit, so that creativeness that he brings is constant threat to score or assist. That's huge for us.
I just want to stay healthy this year and get more game time, but I definitely want to work on getting more assists.
Him attacking and being just Jesus is what makes us part of who we want to be. So having players like Jesus that add to it and contribute to it is huge.
If I got it, then I bought it. Take a bite, 'cause I want it. And I know I got the taste for the cake, and I take what I make and I flaunt it, flaunt it. Got diamonds on my necklace, I live how I like. So looks is getting reckless. I'm feeling myself and you can't break my vibe. I'm feeling myself and you can't break my vibe. You can't break my vibe. You can't break my vibe.
Action. Should be a fun season of MLS Next Pro. Oh my! Pedrinho wins it!
If I got it, then I bought it. Take a bite, 'cause I want it. And I know I got the taste for the cake, and I take what I make and I flaunt it, flaunt it. Got diamonds on my necklace, I live how I like. So looks is getting reckless. I'm feeling myself and you can't break my vibe. I'm feeling myself and you can't break my vibe. You can't break my vibe. You can't break my vibe.
Halftime rolls on in Toronto, Canada. Highlights and stats are next. But first, let's meet new Chattanooga FC manager, Chris Nugent.
Chattanooga FC didn't have to look far to fill its head coaching vacancy for the 2025 season, promoting Chris Nugent, who'd been an assistant coach for the last 3 seasons and served as interim head coach in the last 2 games of 2024. As a former academy director, technical director, and performance analyst, Nugent brings a great deal of soccer knowledge to his role, not just on the pitch, but in the world of analytics.
We use evidence every day in life that we maybe don't realize it, with speed limits and your diet, so why would we not use it to try and be a little bit more successful in other areas as well? So I was fortunate to be around some other coaches that were big into the evidence-based coaching and encouraged my kind of curiosity and passion for it. So I think that showed how much I realized I didn't know. That maybe encouraged me to look a little bit deeper to find more information, find more data, find more evidence of how I can be successful in whatever role that I'm in. Sports are never just black and white, so how that helps us get a little bit better at something, as well as taking into the context of, well, what's going on and where are we now, and what other scenarios will we face with it. So it's a factor, and I think it's been successful throughout my career to use that and kind of fall back on it and allow that to influence some of the things we want to do here.
A native of England, Nugent became a U.S. citizen at a ceremony in Chattanooga in 2023. A moment that strengthened his connection to the team and the community.
I chose to be an American. I love it. I'm fortunate enough that I got to do it in Chattanooga, as the city where I walked in one country, nationality, and came out as American. I think that of leaving, coming, finding a new home, that's what Chattanooga's about as well. When you talk to people there, there's a lot of people that have come into the city, or their family have come into the city, and now it's their home. They live there, they have houses there, so I think that similarities is probably part of it. But Chattanooga has been a home since I got there. I felt connected to it. I think the people, and I mean, why would you not want to be part of a community when you can?
And that mindset applies to his vision for CFC.
I think continuing to grow, representing the city well. I think the city's continuing to grow and attract more eyes to it and more people, and I think that's the same with the club. Us being good stewards of the game and using soccer to grow Chattanooga, grow people, grow everything in it. We are so much more than just that team on the field. We're a club in the community, and you see that when you're out and about. It's not just a game day or that 90 minutes on a weekend when we play. It's referenced through how we are in the community, the after-school programs, the clinics, the youth club, the academy, the foundation. All of that is part of who we are. The Chattahooligans, the overall fan base. There's an identity of Chattanooga FC in the city. We are a club and a community, and I think that definitely helps us, knowing that we've got that fan base, that people care, that people support us on and off the field. That's a huge plus for us.
Action.
If I got it, then I bought it. Take a bite, 'cause I want it. And I know I got the taste for the cake. And I take what I make and I flaunt it, flaunt it. Got diamonds on my necklace. I live how I like. So looks is getting reckless. I'm feeling myself and you can't break my vibe. I'm feeling myself and you can't break my vibe. You can't break my vibe. You can't break my vibe.
First half in the books, and here is how we got here in Toronto, Canada. Chicago Fire 2, they said they wanted to weather that first 15-minute storm, and early on, Malik Henry and Toronto FC 2 knocking on the door. Patrick Lose says no, and then a hit from distance for Chicago Fire 2, who have had some good looks at goal. 4 shots, but just 1 shot on target. The high pressure from Toronto FC 2 has caused some issues for that Chicago Fire back line. This ball from Malik Henry lifted back in, curled toward the back post by Hassan Ayari, not to be had. But Toronto FC 2 would not be deterred, and neither would Ayari. Right back down the pitch, a second shot parried away by Los. Then Malik Henry comes racing down the far channel, runs in behind, squares it, and Daquan Barrow, his first goal since 2023, just before the end of the half. Toronto FC 2 would have another look at it as Marcus Zimmermansik, the first teamer getting the start today, heads it wide. A look at your stats through 45 minutes of play. Toronto FC not just with the lead on the scoreline, but also the advantage in total shots, shots on target as well, despite possession numbers slanting in favor of Chicago Fire 2. Gianni Cimini said this week, look, we want to have possession, yes, but it's about being purposeful with that possession, knowing when to go forward, picking the moments to go with speed versus picking the moments to play a possession-oriented game. And right now, despite his team being outpossessed, they have the advantage, and for long stretches of that first half, they were the better team. This just a standalone match on this Friday evening in MLS Next Pro before a busy weekend slate. Saturday it gets going at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. NYCFC 2 and New England Revolution 2, fresh off a hard-fought 2 points earned at home against Columbus Crew 2. Went down twice in that game, did Richie Williams' team. They battle back late, they get a late goal, and then they win the extra point in that shootout. Then on Sunday, more big matches, including Colorado Rapids 2, who have really turned on a nice little hot stretch here, moving their way up the Western Conference table recently, picking up a win a couple match weeks ago against St. Louis City 2 on the road. Huntsville City FC coming off the big 5-0 victory against Chicago Fire 2. They'll take on Inter Miami 2, who are fresh off a win against their Florida Derby opponents, Orlando City V, who will take on New York Red Bulls 2. Both teams out from the halftime dressing room for Chicago Fire 2. And head coach Mike Matkovich, they identified that first 15-minute flurry in the first half, weathering that storm from Toronto FC. They did that. They still find themselves down a goal. They wanted to play with more energy in this contest, trying to strike that balance between, much like Toronto FC, building out versus going forward, playing a direct style of soccer. And the energy level has been up and down for Chicago Fire 2 through 45 minutes of play. Mostly up, but they have had spells where Toronto FC have been able to get in behind, not just the goal that was scored, but a couple of opportunities at scoring for Toronto FC where they just fall a bit asleep at the back, trying to remedy that as the second half underway after the whistle from Melvin Christopher. York Lions Stadium here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. With our Season Pass crew, Jake Griffith, happy to be with you. Beautiful evening for football in the Great White North of Canada. Toronto in the red, Chicago in the blue and white. First whistle of the second half brings us to a stoppage, and it is Melvin Christopher, our center referee this evening. No changes for either Toronto FC 2 or Chicago Fire 2 through 45 minutes of play. Rolling through into this second half with their starting 11 intact. Toronto starting to collapse in on Chicago. Los has to distribute it away. Diouf now. Chimini challenging his team this week for Toronto FC, reminding them that the style at which they want to play, they want to defend high up the pitch, but they want to do it collectively. He said, go committed, go together. And now here comes Chicago Fire 2 and Claudio Cassano. Cassano, former AS Roma Youth Academy product, at one point catching the eyes of Jose Mourinho, former Roma head coach. He was called up to the AS Roma first team for their 2022 Europa League contest, was Cassano, and now they cycle this around over to that far touchline. Chuck Wu able to win it back. Last time these teams met, it was Toronto FC, so good in terms of the individual duels, 43 duels won. A duel won by Chuck Wu, and now with it is Malik Henry on this near side. Funneled up ahead, Hassana Yari, no options going forward. Toronto FC now. Leading the way, it's Michael Sullivan. Fed up ahead, Henry. He'll cut inside. Lays this one off. Takes a bounce. Falls right back to Bostonberry, and diving on it is Los. Toronto FC making a real concerted effort to force their way into that 18. Trying to sidestep a challenge from Chukwu. He's whistled for the foul, and it's a free kick given to Chicago Fire. Chase Nagel in the middle. Overwhelmed that time with Chicago Fire by a host of red shirts. It steered all the way back to De Rosario now. Long ball played up ahead. Henry takes the touch on the move. Henry now centers this one. Simmermancic goes over the bar and out. Another promising build-up for Toronto FC2, really finding their offensive footing. Simmermancic, good touch through traffic, hits it off the half volley, but hits it high. Toronto FC placing so much emphasis in midweek training this week on learning to strike that balance between using tempo versus using possession. Gianni Cimini did say that this team are quick learners, and we are seeing them learn on the fly through this contest. Now here's Chicago Fire 2. Out wide, it's Casano. Parried aside by De Rosario. Trying to generate just something offensively for Chicago Fire 2 with just the one shot on target prior. De Rosario has to push it out of play, and Chicago Fire 2 will have their second corner. Swung in, bouncing through. John Diouf can't believe it, skipped right past him. Keep an eye on the center of your screen. Diouf right there, 41 in white. Glancing header wide. De Rosario, errant distribution forward. Fire 2 will have a throw in, and it's quickly taken. Poked ahead. Dylan Borso now on that far flank. Borso cuts it back. Henry heads it away. Kaye tries to step inside, off the volley. Hit right into the gloves by Chase Nagel. Disa De Rosario, the 20-year-old, 10 saves, a 1.25 goals against average. Very good in his appearances this year for Toronto FC2. Another stop made, the second of this second half. Now a whistle. More pushing and shoving. Alvin Christopher will sound more whistles. Daquan Barrow exchanging a couple pushes there with John Diouf. issues lied there, now resolved after the chat with Melvin Christopher. And play will resume off the Chicago Fire free kick. Two ultimate competitors there, just really going back and forth. Diouf. Konix looking for Dean Bolts ahead. Now they'll move this over to Kaye near side. And back up to Kaye. His cross takes a deflection off the defender. Henry trying to win it back, and Henry does, at least for a moment. Bostonberry taken down, and that will draw a whistle from Melvin Christopher. Keeping with that idea that Gianni Cimini has talked about with his team, learning on the fly, called them resilient, adaptable. Chicago Fire 2, their whole goal, creating those passing overloads with those triangles. Had some success early on in those first 15, 16 minutes of the match. Toronto FC, they've really keyed in on those passing triangles on the near and far touchlines, trying to eliminate those from Chicago Fire 2's arsenal. It's helped back on ahead, though, to Borso. Glancing header out wide. Sano just able to keep it in. Has it now at his feet. Sano trying to peel it back. Tangled up there with Bostonberry. And Claudio Cassano able to win a free kick. In quite the advantageous position for Chicago Fire 2. .51 in white, Claudio Cassano. Just locked in a battle there with Anthony Bostonberry, the Toronto FC Academy man. Options here now for Chicago Fire 2. Just outside that 18. Cassano right into the wall, deflected away. Helped back ahead to him now, has options to his left. Carries it on himself now. At the byline, centers this. Left off, edge of the area. Konix's shot is blocked. Zimmermansik trying to make a play for it. He goes down, wanted a whistle, won't get it. And it's guided all the way back to Patrick Lowe's. One back here by Bostonberry. Trying to roll this out wide. No one on the receiving end of it. This portion of the match is brought to you by BMO, proud sponsor and fan of Toronto FC2, who are defending now. Countering is Chicago Fire. Borso's shot deflected. This is about what we saw there at the end of that first half, the final 5-6 minutes of play, end-to-end action. As Mike Matkovich and Chicago Fire will make changes now in this second half. On comes Bryce Richards and Jason Shukaluk, the former Akron Zip. Shukaluk, 5th appearance of the season as he comes on in favor of Dean Bolts. Big East Player of the Year is Jason Shukaluk under Jared Imbick at Akron. will clear that one out of play. Akron, such a long history of producing MLS caliber talent. Flag is up. Toronto FC in an offside position. Emil Jaskalainen, a rookie out of Akron, playing for St. Louis City 2. Recently, a couple weeks ago, earning a short-term call-up to the City First team. Such a rich history dating all the way back to players like a Darlington Nagbe. And it's not just on the playing side as well for the University of Akron. Caleb Porter making the jump from college to MLS. And now here is Toronto FC whipped across the 18. Rolled up that far touchline, just out of reach. Shukaluk couldn't pick it up. Throw falls to Konix. He'll play this safely back to the feet of Patrick Lowe's. Konix again going forward with it, bouncing toward the 18, and De Rosario jumping off his line to go scoop that up. Well read by the 20-year-old. Troubles with the distribution though on the throw out. Fire 2 almost winning it back in a dangerous area. Toronto FC will make 2 changes of their own to counter the 2 recent changes made by Chicago Fire. Jamari Nolan, Andre Dimitru. Worked up ahead now, Shukaluk in behind. Asano gets it back again, that time from Juan Miguel Calle. Played through to Nagel. Nagel, edge of the area. Williams will steer this one over from distance, sent wide. Sam Williams, a look at goal with that left foot. Just couldn't put it on target. And that has been the story for Chicago Fire in this contest. 10 shots. Just 3 of which have gone on target for Chicago Fire too. Headed out, Toronto FC will have a throw in. Chuck Wu's throw, looking for Nolan, goes out, change of possession occurs. Quickly ahead, Shukaluk streaking forward. Coated so well defensively by Reed Fisher. Now Sullivan fighting off challenges. That will draw a whistle. Michael Sullivan, 30th overall pick in this most recent MLS Super Draft. Spent 4 seasons at Pitt under former Wake Forest head coach Jay Vidovich. Vidovich connections to at least one now MLS NEXT Pro side, as Henry will lift this in the area. Falling back to Bossenberry. Vidovich after leaving Wake Forest, went and joined Portland Timbers to become the first ever head coach of Portland Timbers 2. And left that job behind to take the job at Pitt, and has continued producing MLS and MLS Next Pro caliber players like a Michael Sullivan, who has it now for Toronto FC 2. Dimitru to thread it back ahead. There's Chukwu with it. Back ahead, they were looking for Jamari Nolan, 15-year-old from Jamaica, now lifted ahead. Cassano takes the touch. Cassano goes off the post and out. Claudio Cassano, one of the best chance creators in MLS Next Pro this season, 6th most. Very nearly putting Fire 2 on the board. He's got it now. He'll switch it out wide. Borso trying to peel this one back. Now we have a whistle for a stoppage. Malik Henry down at the top of the Toronto FC 18. Claudio Cassano, what a brilliant ball ahead. It catches the outstretched hand on its way through by Adisa de Rosario. Had that big left paw up. Now the training staff out checking on Malik Henry. Henry, the 22-year-old from Ontario. Another Akron zip, much like Jason Shukaluk, number 44 in white, hovering right near Malik Henry. It's been 4 seasons at Akron, did Malik Henry. 39th overall pick in 2024 by CF Montreal. Opted to go back for a final season collegiately before signing with this Toronto FC side in March of this year. Chicago will make a change. Joiner Montiel Malik Henry still down inside that penalty area as the Toronto FC training staff, all 3 trainers, will continue to check on him. Malik Henry back to his feet. Still, though, laboring. You can tell how slowly he is walking off under his own power, which is a welcome sign. He will come off, and a change made by Gianni Cimini. Nathaniel Edwards, the 22-year-old former Bolton Wanderers Academy man, will come on for the first time. Toronto FC utilizing an injury substitute as Malik Henry will go off. Play will resume off the drop ball from Melvin Christopher, and we're back underway following the injury stoppage. Onyx back ahead with it again. This portion of the match is brought to you by Ritz, proud sponsor and fan of Toronto FC2, who are on it now. Trying to take on one too many defenders to Hassan Ayari. Shook a look. Cassano. Rolled out wide. Shot from distance, parried away, falls right to Cassano, goes off the woodwork and out. First the post, now the crossbar, denying Claudio Cassano. 2 goals erased. And Chicago still trailing 1-0. Cassano back on it now, stops and starts. Bossenberry in his hip pocket, but Bossenberry wins it back. The clearance falls to Bossenberry, intercepted now, Kaye. Out for a Toronto goal kick, very nearly though, Toronto conceding the equalizer. The initial save made by De Rosario falling right to Claudio Cassano in front of goal. It is not often a player of his caliber misses a wide open net. It has been that kind of evening for Chicago Fire too. Kaye whiffs on the header clearance. Edwards tries to play it back in the middle. Now back on it, Toronto. A free kick earned by Toronto FC. And Anthony Bossenberry. Keep an eye right in the middle of your screen here. 56 in red. It was Diouf sticking the foot in and taking him down from behind, giving Toronto FC an opportunity to double their advantage. Ayari lifts it, back post, falling through. Italo couldn't get a shot off. Now Borso looking for a release option. This portion of the match is brought to you by MasterCard, proud sponsor and fan of Toronto FC2. Chicago with a throw-in, desperately seeking that second half equalizer. Toronto FC have been susceptible to giving up goals in this second half. 4 of the 6 allowed in half number 2, but back on it is Bossenberry. Played so well after coming on early because of the injury. Rolled out wide, Ayari. Ayari carries it to the end line. Ayari squares. Cleared away. Now Dylan Borso, former Wake Forest Demon Deacon, ahead. Claudio Cassano tries to play it through the middle and deflected out. Stojadinovic with the clearance away. Gianni Cimini has been so high at times on the play of Marco Stojadinovic. He said he has a keen ability to adapt to various defensive roles. It does go out for a corner. Swung in near post. Headed out, consecutive corners. Cassano steers this back post. De Rosario underneath it, he'll sprawl on it. Deflection on its way forward, out. Toronto FC will have that throw on the near touchline. Chukwu. Yari will step inside now. Yari rolls it ahead. Here's Edwards, but the flag is up. Nathaniel Edwards tried his best to just snug that line to stay onside, could not. Williams gives it up. Former North Carolina Tar Heel is Sam Williams. Headed back on. Out of the reach of Montiel, flicked away from danger. Out for a Chicago Fire throw-in, which they quickly take. Williams back on it now. A homegrown signing is Sam Williams for Chicago Fire. Had his rights acquired via a deal with Red Bull New York earlier this year, back in March. This cross whipped in just over the head of Claudio Cassano. With Dean Bolts going off, they've really looked to Claudio Cassano, the offseason acquisition, to bolster this attack in this second half. He's had some really good looks at goal. Twice gone off the woodwork. Now leading the charge is Hassani Yari. Yari racing down the far channel, pushed away. Falls to Bossenberry. His cross blocked. Edwards gives it up back to Bossenberry. Stojanovic now. Bossenberry gives it up, transitioning from defense to offense. Here comes Chicago Fire. Their talisman, Claudio Cassano, he's taken down. A free kick awarded. Cassano whips this back post, headed toward goal. John Diouf heads it wide. Keep an eye on the center of your screen. John Diouf, 41 in white. He was adamant it should have been a corner for Chicago Fire. Back on, Chicago Fire 2. These last 10 minutes of this second half, they have really been pressing for that equalizer, controlling the tempo, trying to play fast. Now worked ahead, Bossenberry taken down. Anthony Bossenberry looking to Melvin Christopher, asking for a whistle. He won't get one. Bossenberry wins it back now. He gets it back, rolls it forward. Diouf going to ground just at the right moment. Edwards trying to force him into a mistake. And it will be a throw in for Toronto FC. Nathaniel Edwards relentless there, not giving up on the play, earning a throw in at this final third for Toronto, but it's promptly coughed up. You can hear the Chicago Fire coaching staff shouting to Dylan Borso, "Get higher, Dylan, get higher." Able to win a quick foul there, and the free kick taken just as quickly. Borso trying to roll it in behind, not on the same page as Bryce Richards. Takes a deflection, that clearance in favor of Chicago Fire. Williams, now Nagel. Cassano has an option, lays it off. Kaye crosses it in. That cross claimed by De Rosario. Numerous times in this contest, Chicago Fire have tried those switching passes, trying to change the angle of the attack, the switches of play. And while they've connected on them, Toronto FC, to their credit, have limited the options and limited their scoring ability off those switching passes, I should say. It's laid off to Williams right now. Williams will get it back. ACC freshman team pick in 2022 for Carlos Samuano in North Carolina. Shukaluk lays it off. Montiel. Back Konix goes. Whipped in. Punched away by De Rosario. Chicago pleading for a foul. There was some collision inside that box when De Rosario came out for the punch, but Melvin Christopher says play on. Cassano back on it. Looking for the cross. Cassano has it blocked. Dumped away for a clearance by Adisa De Rosario. Williams has an option going forward out wide, overhits that, and it's out for a goal kick. Again, Chicago Fire 2 asking questions of this Toronto back line. Right there in the middle of your screen, De Rosario comes out as Shukaluk was crashing in on him. That is what drew the protests from Chicago Fire. Toronto FC trying to hang on for these 3 points. These last 10 minutes have been all Chicago Fire in terms of chance creation, in terms of pace of play. That ball forward looking for Shukaluk left short. Turning on it now, Bossenberry. Here's Edwards. He'll get it back from Bossenberry. Stojanovic gives it up. Lifted back forward in the vicinity of Bossenberry. Midfield takeaway by Michael Sullivan. Over the top, back to Edwards. Edwards on his left. Edwards knifing in. Edwards going down, and Melvin Christopher points to the spot. Chicago Fire 2, they've had such a penchant for conceding penalties. Third most conceded in the league this year. Edwards trying to knife his way inside, getting to an opportune spot, and that will send Italo to the spot. to try to double this advantage late for Toronto too. Italo stopped by Los. The rebound coughed up, slotted in. At the double, Toronto FC2 likely sealing it late. 2-0. Initially, Nathaniel Edwards drawing the penalty, just putting Juan Miguel Calle in a bad spot, forcing his hand. Then Italo's penalty denied, tried to go low. Lowe's coughed up the rebound and slotting it home. Hassan Ayari, his first goal of 2025, comes at such a perfect time for Toronto FC2. Had weathered a storm of possession and chance creation from Chicago Fire, who were denied by the post and the crossbar not once but twice. And now on the other end, Toronto FC doubling the lead. Flicked away for a Toronto clearance. Now one back, here's Chukwu. Chukwu rolled out wide, Ayari. Ayari dancing around defenders. Still Ayari now trying to shake free of Dylan Borso. Chicago Fire wanting to take that throw in quickly. Didn't have any options on it. Less than 5 minutes plus stoppage time remaining in regulation. The second half, especially late in that second half, has been so disappointing for Mike Matkovich and the Chicago Fire 2 team. 3 goals make it 4 now allowed in the 83rd minute or later this season for Fire 2. Miguel Calle now. Looking to switch it back on this near side. Casano headed out, and Toronto will have a throw in. Now Bostonberry goes down. Lucas Olguin will come on as Bostonberry able to get off the pitch under his own power, but you see him there at the bottom of your screen, unable to put much weight on that right leg. '19-year-old Costa Iliadis, the other change made by Toronto FC2. Stojanovic, throw in. Consecutive throws now for Stojanovic and Toronto FC. Gianni Cimini had said this week that despite the recent results, despite the overall win-loss record, that his team was robust, and he knew that they had it in them to gut out tough results. As this worked on ahead, Toronto wanting more, trying to roll it through the middle, and that pass just behind. Lucas Olguin slicing in, but Cimini had said he knew his team had the capability on the offensive side of things to unlock contests. It just hadn't been there. Casano up ahead, top of the area, shot, goes off the side netting and out. Claudio Casano now is down over on that left side of your screen. good cutback pass to Joyner Montiel from Cassano. He went down holding that lower right leg. He is back to his feet. Rosario waving players forward up the pitch. He's turned in such an impressive performance. 5 saves for Adisa de Rosario on the night. Cleared out, Toronto will have a throw in. Gianni Cimini, though, this week saying that his team, he knew that once they started to get a bit of rhythm together, once they started to learn each other, that they knew the goals would come. It's about keeping that confidence up as Williams able to draw a foul. They have stuck to their game plan, showing immense confidence tonight. And Cimini's group just minutes away from getting across the finish line. Haven't posted 3 wins in their first 6 matches since that 2022 season. Their first in MLS Next Pro, if they reach the Eastern Conference Final. Change of possession will occur via the throw-in. A tough last 2 ends to the campaign in 23 and 24 for Toronto FC, missing the MLS Next Pro playoffs. The 6th worst goal differential in the league last year. But Cimini had a lot of hope coming into this season about what they had on paper at Toronto FC 2. And now here is Toronto FC 2, and Edwards wanting more. Worked out wide, cross, played in, headed over the bar. Jamari Nolan able to get ahead to it. A good cross in from Andre Dimitru, and Nolan couldn't put it on target. Whistle from Melvin Christopher. Konix going down. Rolled back to the byline. Dimitru won't race it down in time. Officially 4 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this contest. Adanovic looking for options on the clearance. Edwards taken down, no whistle. One back by Fire 2, it's Montiel. He'll roll it ahead, Diouf. Kaye, cross, off the back of the defender and blocked out. Goes for a Chicago Fire 2 corner. Sano will have it from this near flag. Crosses this in, headed out, consecutive corners now. Williams gives it up. Nagel helped on towards Shukaluk. Shukaluk is in. Still Shukaluk now, tries to cut it back. Pinballing inside the area. Shot is blocked from Dylan Borso, out for a Chicago throw. try as they might, they just can't get one through. Worked back ahead. Here's Sam Williams. It's the back heel pass, looking for Kaye, out for a throw instead. Long throw from Williams, quickly headed away by Michael Sullivan. This result for Toronto FC2 as it's headed back toward De Rosario. Now De Rosario will scoop it up and toss it out. This result for Toronto FC2, moving them into a tie points-wise for third in the Eastern Conference table. Melvin Christopher sounds the whistle. It's all final at York Lions Stadium. Toronto FC, a late penalty to double the advantage, and they hold off a blitz of opportunities from Chicago Fire 2. 2-0 the final. Our man of the match, the man who got the scoring going back in the first half in the 36th minute, Daquan Barrow taking that feed from Malik Henry and slotting it home. His first goal since the 2023 season. Daquan Barrow getting on the board for the first time in 2025. Getting Toronto FC on the board in the match. And they would later hang on to win. Daquan Barrow, your man of the match for Toronto FC2. Victorious on this match week 7 Friday night. For our entire MLS Next Pro broadcast crew, I'm Jake Griffith. Once again, our final score, Toronto FC 2-0 over Chicago Fire FC. Don't forget, you can watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLS Season Pass on Apple TV and MLSNextPro.com. Good night from Toronto, Canada.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.